Welcome back. In this tutorial I want to talk about how to create a two-dimensional drawing from your 3D part. I have a part open here that we modeled earlier in the class. What we want to be able to do is communicate on paper what this part would look like. And so to do that we want to be able to create a front view and a top view and a side view drawing. We can get glimpses of what that'll look like by changing the view in the heads-up display. So there's a top view, and then we look and there's a right view, and then sometimes drawings include a 3 view. Now industry is really changing to move away from drawings and move more to 3D part models, so you would actually send this to the manufacturer as a 3D model if you wanted them to build it, but at the same time for record keeping purposes it's always nice to have a drawing. So to create a drawing from a part, if you go to the New tab and click on the down arrow, click on Make New Drawing from Part or Assembly. You're asked to choose what type of sheet format you'd like. We can talk more about this later, but for now we'll go ahead and choose A, which is just fine. And what that does is it puts a border on the sheet and a title and different things like that. Next, in the right view, you see this view palette. If you click on one of the views, like the front view, and drag it into the paper space, it will create a view for you. And then it continues. If you drag to the right, it creates a right view, and if you drag to the top, it's going to create a top view. And if you drag over kind of diagonally, it creates an isometric view. You can see next to my mouse that I have the right click green arrow or green check and the right click arrow. So if I right click, I automatically exit out of that. These guys aren't laid out exactly like I'd like, so I'm going to drag this view over, and I do that by clicking in the view area. You can see the dashed blue line and dragging. Okay? And it turns out actually that this is using first angle projection. There's a difference between first and third angle projection, and I'd like to change it to third angle projection, which is the standard in the United States. To do that, I right click on the sheet in the property manager and I go to properties. This shows me the sheet scale and a bunch of different parameters that I can change, and right up here in the top you can see the type of projection. If you click on the third angle radio button, it switches the views around. Now this is a nice drawing, but what I really want to do is I want to start dimensioning the part, and I can do that by clicking on the Annotation tab. And my Smart Dimension tool is here just like it was when I was creating the part, and I can go ahead and make a smart dimension. You'll notice though that that dimension, let me get it unselected, shows up as a light gray. This dimension is what's called a reference dimension, and it's not the actual type of dimension we should be making most of the time. What we really want to use are the dimensions we use to create the part, and so we click on Model Items, and then we can say Source or Destination, and we choose the entire model, and we can, under Dimensions, we can check Marked for Drawing, and we can check Not Marked for Drawing. So this is going to import all the dimensions we put on the part. And lastly, I think we can choose, we'll just go ahead and click on Check. And what this is going to do is it automatically dimensions the part based on the dimensions we originally put into the part when it was created. You can click on dimensions and move them around as you like. You'll notice SolidWorks 2010 has a new feature. When you click on a dimension, it opens up a context manager where you can edit the text right in this spot. So I could say TYP for typical here, and that will make it known that this, if I zoom in, this is dimensioning the fillet right here, and by adding TYP we know that that's typical, so where there's other fillets we can do that. It's always a good practice to make sure that your dimensions are off of a drawing, so move your views far enough apart from each other that they aren't overlapping the dimensions. Let me move this bottom one down. You can see it kind of moves the other two views. And if I zoom in on this, what's unique about these dimensions is you see that they're black. And what happens is that I can now modify my part by just double clicking on a dimension right here. So say I want to make this 3/4 of an inch instead. Now everything goes gray because it needs to be rebuilt. So if I click on my rebuild button, it's going to work on rebuilding that geometry with that dimension at 3/4. And now if I go to my window and go back over to example 5, my geometry is changed here as well. So that's why you want to use dimensions that are black, because by doing that you can actually edit the part directly from the drawing. If you had a reference dimension you wouldn't be able to do that. So to make a good drawing, make sure that you pull your dimensions far enough away. Make sure that they're all readable. So SolidWorks isn't super smart. You still have to go in and edit dimensions. Like this angle dimension, we should probably move out a little bit so that it's easier to read. That's the gist of it. When you're done, you can go ahead and click on Save, and it will save all the parts that you've done. And we'll save this as an example 5 drawing. That'll be just fine. And you're good to go. You can also make a PDF by doing a Save As and change the document type. Right here, Save As type. If you click on that and go down to PDF, it'll make a PDF drawing of your part that you can email to customers. That's it for today. Have fun.